Hey gang, Jerry here. Today's video is going to be another quick video on our 1988 C4 Corvette. We currently have the transmission out of the Corvette right now, waiting on some tools and some parts to do the tear down and overhaul the transmission. But while we have the transmission out, we noticed that the driver's side outer tie rod boot is ripped. So we got a aftermarket tie rod end because the factory tie rod ends are no longer available, and we're going to be swapping that out today. So if you want to see how to replace your outer tie rod end, check it out. All right, so here we're at the Corvette. As you can see, we already had the tire off. Here's our outer tie rod end. The boot, has a cut right here, so we're going to replace it. First thing we need to do is loosen up the jam nut, and then we're just going to loosen it. And then we'll check our dimensions of our new tie rod end to see if it's the same dimensions as the original one, and if so, we can go right back where with the jam nut still in place. If not, we'll probably have to move that adjustment a little bit. After that, we'll take our cotter pin out, our castle nut, and then get our tie rod end out of our spindle. So the first thing we'll do is loosen up our jam nut, and that's a 7/8 nut. All right, so here we go with the jam nut. We'll get that loose. Get a little more leverage. Okay, all right, so we got our jam nut loose, and like I said, we're gonna keep it right at that position there, just loose, so we can get the tie rod end off, and then we'll check our dimensions when we put our new tie rod back in. Next thing we're gonna do is move our cotter key. We have a pair of side cutters here. Just kind of bend it over, both legs. And then, try to get our key out just a little bit where you can get a bite on it with your side cutters and just walk it out. Our new tie rod end comes with all new hardware, new castle nut, new jam nut, new cotter key, washer, everything. So got the cotter key out. Next thing we'll do, we'll move the castle nut, and that's a 18 millimeter. Got our trusty impact here, 18 millimeter on our castle nut, and got her loose. Now to get our tie rod end out of our spindle, if you don't have a tie rod puller, what we're gonna do is take our washer off, put our castle nut back on, screw it down to where it's flush with the bolt on the tie rod, and then we'll take our hammer and knock on it a few times to see if we can get our tie rod loose. Here we go. Okay, tie rod loose. Now it's just a matter of spinning our castle nut off. And pulling our tie rod out and unscrewing it. And like I mentioned, we're going to keep our castle nut there. We'll go to the bench, compare our original tie rod end to our new aftermarket one, and see if we have to adjust our dimensions for the position of our jam nut. So we'll go to the bench now. All right, so here we are at the bench. Our original tie rod end, our new tie rod end. It's a Moog brand tie rod. I'll have links in the description down below where you can pick this tie rod end up. But it does look like the dimensions are the same, so we're in good shape there. So we can just go back on with the new tie rod with our jam nut exactly in the same place. One thing that it didn't do, it comes with all the hardware, including a Zert fitting, but in the description when I ordered it, it had a 90-degree Zert fitting like the original one has, but it came with a straight one. So we're going to have to remove this Zert fitting and put it on the new tie rod end, and then once we have that completed, we can go back with the reassembly. But as you can see here, our old one has a big rip in it, and that's why we're replacing it today. So let's see if we can swap out the Zert fitting to the new one, and we'll go from there. All right, so you can see we have our Zert fitting on our new tie rod end, and it's important that the position of the Zert being facing in towards the underside of the vehicle. That way you'll be able to get a grease gun on it with the tire still installed. So we'll take it now, we'll take it over to the vehicle, install it back on our vehicle, install the new hardware, and that should be good. All right, so we're back over to the vehicle. I'm just gonna go with the original jam nut. I don't see any reason why to replace it, but if yours, has some issues, the kit does come with a new one, but I'm not gonna pull it off. I'm gonna leave it in the same exact position it was when we pulled the original off, because our tie rod has the exact same dimensions. If you had different dimensions, or if you were gonna replace it, you'd wanna do a measurement here and then put the nut back on in the same position to get your steering close. But even that being said, we're still gonna, after we get this repaired done and get our vehicle back on the road, we're gonna take it into a shop and have the alignment performed, get the toes set properly, just in case we threw the steering geometry off just a little bit. So, all right, so we'll go right there. We'll put our new tie rod end up into our slot here. Okay. Go with the new washer. Go with the new nut. Tighten it up just a little bit with our impact, not heavily, just snug it up, and then we'll adjust it with our wrench. Now what we'll do, this is 18 millimeter, we have to line our castle nut up with the hole in the tie rod end. I can see I'm off a little bit, so I got to go just a little bit tighter. And that should be it right there. Put our Cotty key in. Take our side cutters and we'll just bend our legs over. One there, and there. Tap that down a little bit. Tap that in. Okay. All right, and we'll snug up our jam nut, which again is a 7/8. Give it a nice good snug. Okay, there you have it. Now the very last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put the car up in the air a little bit, and we'll actually get our grease gun and give it a few pumps of grease, because I'm sure it came dry, and we should be all set. All right, so we have our grease gun, and we'll give her a few shots of grease. You can see our boot actually swell up there, letting us know that we got some grease in there. And there we go, we're all set. All right, gang, yeah, pretty easy job. Not too difficult, but it's always necessary. So if you ever do see worn out components or tears in your boots, like your tie rod end or your ball joints or steering boots or whatever, it's always a great idea to go ahead and replace them right away. Instead, it could cause more issues in the future. So make sure you always take care of that. And I'll leave links in the description down below and all the tools that I used in today's video and the components that I purchased to do today's job. And if you did like the video today, make sure you smash that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Well, that'll wrap it up for this one, gang. So remember, if you put your mind to it, you can do anything. All right, gang, take care and see ya.